Welcome. Let's get into exploring all around the hips and the hamstrings. So we're going to just start leaning forward into a child pose or lying on the back if you prefer, if kneeling isn't super comfy for you. Feel free to prop underneath the knees with a blanket or anything else that you prefer, and just let yourself release forward and down. You might want to hook your hands into the pelvis and draw back a little bit there to give that feeling of space in the lower back. And if you need a bit more space for the abdomen, grab a bolster in front of you or as much height as you need there. And you might want a blanket or something for your head. So just see what kind of shape works in your body. And just taking a few breaths, directing the breath towards the back and the side of the body. And then literally just take a few breaths here just to settle the awareness before we come into the movement. Feel free to have a sigh or a yawn or just stretch the jaw. And feel that your breath can move the back of the rib cage. Good. Whenever you feel ready, coming up. If you've just realized you're exhausted and you need to stay there, that's absolutely fine. And then we're going to come over into a tabletop position. So if your wrists are sore, feel free to use forearms. You might want to be on fingertips or on your palms. And then we're just going to rock a little bit and explore how we're feeling in and around the hip and in and around the hamstrings. It's going to look different in different bodies. So come higher with your hands if you prefer. You could put your hands on a chair or on the wall or on a bolster. Good. And then we're going to pick up this leg from here. So from the side, you're going to kick up with your ankle so you get some internal rotation at the hip. And then pulse up a little bit into that heel. So you're getting that stability along the band of the abdomen and a bit of work around the glutes. And then kick the leg out long and bring it down. And then we're going to lean up and over that leg. So you can have it more bent if your hamstrings are feeling tighter or longer. And just rock in and out a few times. One way and the other. Exploring all of the feelings in the body. You can try angling the pelvis differently. So sometimes if we tend to be quite forward with the lower ribs and the pelvis, it feels comfier to hug them in towards each other for more stability. Good, and then let your arms come back down to the ground. Pick up the leg once more to bring it back into center. And we'll go to that second side, kicking the leg out for a little rock. Side to side, saying hello to your hips and your inner thighs, your adductor muscles. Feeling that connection to the ground and the breath. Good, and then we're going to pick up the leg, lifting with the ankle, get that internal rotation at the hip, stabilize a little that band of the lower abdomen as you pulse up. So you'll feel there more into your glutes and your hamstrings if you can stop the lower back from moving so much. Good, let the leg kick out again, long, and coming up, turning the foot out and reaching over. You might want to rock one way and the other. And just starting to say hello to all of those sensations in the body. So starting to let the mind settle into that body breath awareness. Good. If it's just settled into how sore your knees are feeling or anything else, then have a blanket there for under your knees. I'll come once more to the side. Good. And then bring the hands through to center. Lovely. And bring that leg through and back. Good. And then let's go fairly wide between the knees. Whatever works for you in your body. Walk the arms forward. And again, have a little bit of movement. So just starting to play out into the hips and into the knees. This is another one that in some bodies works better with the knees wider. So feel free to lie and take the legs open in that way. So see which version's working for you. Adapt if the answer is neither. Good. And then we're going to walk in with the hands so we can get some length up through the spine. Knees can come a bit closer. Hands on the legs or turn the fingertips back. and get a good stretch going on through your wrists. Your heel of the hand may or may not come down. Good, lift with the chest, take a breath in. Exhale, round the spine. You can sigh the breath out. Stretch through the jaw and then inhale, come forward. Exhale to sigh the breath out. And one more to come forward. Let your back round. Good. And then bring your knees together if that works for you, kneeling. Now this might be that you need to kneel fairly high so that you feel comfortable in your thighs. So grab more cushions if that's what you need. Either way, we're going to start seeing if we can get a bit of a stretch into the thighs and press into the hands. So you might be lower or higher. See what works for you. And then if you're comfy, push up with your hips. So fire up with your glutes a bit into kind of like a baby camel pose, we could think of it as. So your glutes are firing, not too much pushing into the lumbar, but more trying to open in the front of the hip, lengthening the hip flexors. Coming down, good. Kneel up and then circle around with your right arm and around with your left arm. Make the circle as big as you can and then circle back with both arms. Good, if you're not enjoying kneeling, you could kneel high or come to standing for this. And then circle around again, so palms face away. Then the palms are going to spin and the arms are coming down. Last one, palms face to the back. Out to the sides, behind, and then see if you can escape your legs either from here or just rock through to sitting first into revolve table. And we're going to fire up again from the hips into the glutes to get into the hip flexors, opening, lengthening a bit more. Good, try with your toes facing out more froggy legs, pulsing up, more toes forward. And then more toes in, heels out. And you'll find that you get different feeling in all the different areas of the hips. Coming down, hips towards heels, so you can get a bit of a stretch across the front of the chest. Take a few breaths there. A good one if you've been working in the office or lifting weights or most of those other things we do every day. Yeah, fantastic. And then ease off from here. Really nice. We're going to let their feet come over to the right side and you want to be sitting and twisting a little bit towards the left. It can feel like all a bit wonky across the pelvis, so feel free to sit higher. It's going to get trickier in a minute because we're going to try lift the legs in a sec. So lifting and turning. Smooth in and out breath. And then see, can you lift the legs and balance? So lean back, some good core work, and balance, or even lift the legs further and then swing them to the other side. So you probably need to shift that pillow if you're sitting on one or cushion, and then turning the other way. So it can feel tricky what's happening with the feet. Don't worry if they're side by side. I tend to sit the upper foot across the middle of the lower foot, but it's not an exact science. So whatever feels good for you, lift a little with the chest and find your breath. When you come back to center, balance for a moment. I'm going to get rid of that cushion for this bit, swinging the legs around, leaning back or lifting. And then just try touching and lifting, touching, turning and lifting. Wake up a little bit more, twisting and lifting. And last one, twisting and lifting. Yeah, really nice that your legs come down. Good. From here, we're going to come all the way through to standing. So we'll swing the legs behind. Let the knees open. Walk the arms forward as far as is comfortable for you in your body. Lift through onto the shins. Tuck the toes. We'll go through for a down dog, pulling up high to the sit bones. Let your breath feel quite smooth and even. You can push well in your hands so your shoulder blades glide up, Or you might be someone who feels more comfortable with the arms wider or the hands turned out. If you're slipping on your mat, if you've got a mat, you can grab the sides and then just walk out with your legs, let your knees bend a little. Good. We're going to see, can we do little steps hiking up with the hip as we come towards the hands. If it feels tricky, you could also walk your hands towards your feet, but otherwise we're getting just a little bit of wake up in those hip flexors and then rolling up along the spine. Let your knees bend as you come all the way through to standing. Yeah, really good. And then from here, you're going to come towards the front of the mat. Let the tailbone root down. Hands to the heart, just feeling your connection through that center line, crown of the head to heart, heart to navel to pubis, and that connection down to the earth, to the feet. Good. Spin your hands back so your wrists and forearms get a little bit of wake up and forward. Interlock, push up and sink down with your lower ribs for now. So you stay quite steady through the middle and have a side reach. Good, and then pull the shoulder blades down. Interlock the hands behind the back. If that's tricky, grab a hold of a belt or just reach without holding and take a forward fold. Smooth breath. Let the tongue, the eyes, the jaw soften. Good, and then come up from there, reaching high. Hands to the heart space. Good, and we're going to step back with the right leg. So reach it forward for a moment. And then slide it back, swoosh back with your arms and dip your knee, and then reach up with your arms. So that right knee could stay bent or lengthen. We're looking for a fairly neutral pelvis and that feeling of length on that hip flexor on the right. Good, let your glutes fire up a little bit. That's going to help extend that hip flexor. Good, and then lean over a little bit if you feel like you've got more space. Good, open out to the side all the way to come into your goddess pose. Have a bounce and then do some internal rotation on your shoulders. If your shoulders are quite hypermobile, that might not be the best one for you. You may just want to open and close. Otherwise, we'll tap down and back. Tap down and back. Really nice. And then swoosh around this way. Good, dip down and then reach up with the arms. And you can see how much length you want through that left side. That sense of pushing away with the heel, letting your glute fire up a little. And you could catch the wrist and lean if you want to, or just lean and hold the leg. Notice your breath. Let that breath stay quite soft, even though it feels quite intense often. Yeah, really nice. And then lean forward, step through and just touch that leg forward for now. Really nice. And then step the feet back together. Do the same thing to the other side. So interlock, push the palms forward, reach up high, sink down with the lower ribs so you feel like you're stacking up through the body. Let your breath be felt wide in the side ribs. If this isn't super comfy in your shoulders, have the arms forward or wider. Good. Interlock the hands behind, lift with the chest. And forward fold. Hands can hold a belt. Get as much space as you need for the abdomen. Get as much space as you need through the thighs. Good. And then this time we're going to stand tall and start with that left leg forward and swooshing back. Dip and lengthen. Good. This time, lean forward a little. If you can, catch your elbows and pull back with your elbows and then touch forward and back or dip and lift. So get a little bit more work going in the thighs and in the glutes. 3 or 4 of those and then turn back through to your goddess stance. Really nice. And then leaning towards one side, through to center. Towards the other side, through to center. One more on each side. Good, and then turning around. Lovely. Reaching up tall, let the arms reach high. catch if that feels comfy. Have a little reach side to side. Good, and then we're gonna lean forward. You can tap forward and back, or you can stay lifted upright and touch low and high. I know it's quite hard work, I can feel it already. Touching forward and back, keeping the rest of the spine fairly steady. Good, ending up with your feet together and standing up tall. Yeah, fantastic. Soft breath in, let's open wide. Let the chest open, soft breath out. Give yourself a hug. Opening wide. And then closing. Fantastic. Release your arms off from there. Really nice. We're going to return once more to table. So we'll come through from Utkatasana first. So slide the hands on the leg. Resist gravity through your whole spine. So round the back a little. Let the arms lift. And then let your back arch if it would like to. Elbows wide and forward fold. Let the weight of the head go. Come as low as works in your body, whatever feels comfortable. Good. Hands down to the floor or onto your chair. Good. And then we're going to pulse up with one leg. This could be done from tabletop, so with both knees down, or on bricks or hands on chair. I'll show with bricks, medium option. So lift the right leg, kick it behind, keep the mid band steady and kick up. By tabletop, I mean this one. Kicking up here. Good, kick a little bit out on an angle. Good, and then lengthen that leg back, even if the standing leg has to bend more. Dive long through the leg, so go back as far as you can, reaching, 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 and then let the knee come down and reach up, tall, lengthening up. Really nice. Good, from there, let this front leg lengthen, and then lean forward a little onto the leg. Smooth in and out breath. Good, hips low. Reach up with the arms and then push up through the spine. You can use your hands or have your arms high. And then once more, lengthen the leg. If you feel steady, you can reach your arms behind to open with the chest. Otherwise, your hands stay on your chair or on your bricks. Really nice. Hands to the floor inside that leg. You can bend your knee. And we're going to explore that internal hip rotation. Try lift that leg as soon as you can. If you can pick it up here, do. Otherwise, walk it back further. It's going to get easier. Spin in with the knee, back with the foot. Lengthen the leg and do your little down dog with one leg straight, one leg bent. Good. And then start to walk your feet back in towards your hands. And we'll do that process to the other side, bending the knees, rolling up along the spine, standing super tall. Fantastic. Take a breath in. Exhale, forward fold. You may want to interlock the hands or hold a belt again to get that opening in the chest. This time we're going to be kicking up with the left leg for that pulsing action. This could be done in tabletop or from here. Pulsing up. Everything else stays quite steady. Find your breath. Feel free to have the standing leg bent. Doesn't really matter because we're just looking to wake up a little bit more around here and get whatever length your body can manage. Kick up again to the side slightly, whatever length your hamstrings enjoy, basically. Good, come back through center, lengthen back. Step back, you can bring your bricks with you if you want that extra stability. Really nice, let your knee come all the way down, so you're getting more length now in that hip flexor. Push away, lifting up, lengthening up. Arms can come high or stay low. Good, and then rocking back. Get the length in the hamstrings. And then moving between those two positions. Rocking forward. Bang, arms can be free or not. And then rocking back, arms can be free or steady, depends how balanced you're feeling. Good, let's come through, let the hands come down. Really nice, and then we're gonna kick up with that ankle. So this is probably the trickier bit, isn't it? It takes a lot of work in the hip flexors to get the leg to lift here, but you can lift it closer to the side if you prefer. Ankle up, or if your body prefers. Good, lengthen all the way back. And then this single-legged, or one leg straight down dog. Or I guess it's 3 legs if you include the arm legs. Getting like length. Good, stepping it back for down dog. And let your knees come down to the ground. Fantastic. So we're going to come to the wall or the chair or have the bricks. And I'm going to show on the wall for half moon pose. And then take a couple more balances from there. So we're going to come up and be standing near the wall. So I'm going to have this foot a little bit away from the wall, like 5-10 centimeters. And then I'm going to have this heel touching the wall. My socks are going to be in the way, so I'm going to take those off. You could use a chair or a brick under your hand. So the half moon pose is basically this shape of pose. So the reason for the support under the hand is our hamstrings are going to have an easier time of it. If your hamstrings are super bendy, feel free to have your hand on the floor. But we also want to get that feeling of stability through the body, so that's another reason to use the chair. That's another reason to use the wall, is what I'm trying to say. So, stand near the wall, open out, feel how your chest is opening. You might want to circle your shoulders round. Bend your legs, and as you straighten them, get your leg muscles holding on like they're trying to get closer to the bones. Good, and then let's call this my left side, whichever side you're doing. Bend that knee and slide in a bit closer with the back leg, so you're sort of ready to tip over this standing leg. Good, take your hand onto whatever support you've got. Check you've got enough space for your glutes. Gonna move my foot out a bit. And then kick up with this leg, so feel like you're really getting that leg to lift and the pelvis to turn towards the wall as much as you can. Good, if you feel a bit more tight across the pelvis, this leg isn't gonna be hitting the wall, that's absolutely fine. Check you feel comfy in your lower back, so it doesn't have to be a back bend. We could keep the pelvis towards the ribs and the ribs towards the pelvis. So in other words, if you're not feeling super open in the hip flexors, this whole work that we did here, you're more likely to have like a back bend shape when you go. You might have more like a back bend shape when you go to the wall, basically. So check what feels comfy. Yeah, then when you've taken that one side, lower the hand, look down, bend the knee, step down. Good, and we'll go to the other side. You may have come in and out a few times because I held that for quite a while, or talked for a while. Good, so then the second side, let your arms reach up and over, shoulder blades hug in and down a little, bend your legs and then squeeze those muscles in a little bit so you kind of feel where your body is in space. Bend the knee to bring your hand down. Shift your weight forward, shift your feet a bit closer. You might want this foot further from the wall, see what works. And then pick up that back leg and start to lift this upper hip away. Turn your chest and reach up along the wall if you can. So you feel like this leg is lifting and turning. This underneath leg is externally rotating. So in that femur bone there, that thigh bone, you feel like it's trying to rotate back along the wall. Good, bend the knee to look down, step down, come up, good. One more at the wall, or I'm gonna show in the room. I'll show with bricks this time, so that we can get used to the position. Actually, I'll show using the wall with my foot. So this position, you need to play around a little bit to kind of work out how long it is. This is basically going to be more or less a leg length, so you could put your bum there and kind of check something like this, but it's not an exact feast necessarily. So, opening up, bending the knee. This brick's actually going to need to move forward because I need to be, the distance between my hip and my shoulder is going to be the same as between my foot and that brick. And then this foot is going to get to the wall. So if these hamstrings are still feeling tight, have the knees bent. And then this foot is going to kick into the wall, and your tailbone is going to pull towards that heel, and that's going to give you that feeling of length through the lower back. Good. If you feel steady enough, reach up. If your neck feels comfy enough, look up. Get those leg muscles working and enjoy that turn and that opening along the hips and along the chest. Smooth, steady breaths. Good, look down. Bend this leg. Touch this leg close. And come up. Good, let's go to the other side. So you just put your feet next to each other. Move the brick, step back. Lovely. Reaching open. Strong legs, tailbone anchoring. Coming down for like a kind of triangle shape, bending through the knee. Reach with your hand towards your brick. Stepping in closer with the other leg. Lift the wall leg. Push through that wall foot if you can. And squeeze your tailbone towards your heel. Turn the chest high. Get those leg muscles working. Feel for that length along the abdomen. One of the more common ones here, again, is ribs forward, that kind of position, or maybe this shoulder dropping. So if it's that your arms are making you feel wobbly, just have your hand on your hip and open the chest as much as you can there. Reach the arms apart if possible. Reach the feet away from each other. Turn the hips away from each other. Steady the breath. Good, looking down. Lowering the upper leg. And coming up. Yeah, really nice. And then coming once more into the room if you've been at the wall. Last time, we can have a play in the room if you're feeling like you've got the balance, or repeat one of the wall options. And this time, if your hamstrings are long, you can go lower with your brick or without a brick. I'm going to go, let's say, to the left side first. So start with triangle, right foot turns in, left leg turns all the way out. Root with the tailbone, reach up and open first, and then lengthen up and over. You don't have to go super low, but feel more like you're quite steady and stable along the spine. And you could turn out with this underneath arm, so the shoulder blade feels quite flat on the rib cage. Good, then lower your right hand to your hip, bend your left knee, and now see, can you slide in with your right leg? Good, have this brick higher if you need. Slide it forward, kick up with that back leg, and now start to lift the hip over and straighten the underneath leg if your hamstrings are enjoying the stretch. Good, reach up with the upper arm if you're feeling steady. Now, if you're super wobbly, you might have put this brick in line with your foot or your toes. Move it back a little bit, so spread the base out a little bit more. Good, when you're ready, look down, bend the knee, step down. Come up, really nice, and we'll go to the other side. So we're going to go with the left foot turned in, the right leg and hip turned all the way out. Good, reaching open into the fingers. Feel like your chest is expanding with your breath. Lengthening through the side body. Get that lift and length on the waist. Turn your chest and your gaze towards the upper thumb if you can. Otherwise, gaze forward and down. Just let the neck be comfy. Good. And then prep to come to this brick. Hand on the hip, left hand on the hip. Slide the brick away. Kick up with the back leg. And then, if you've hamstrings, allow, lengthen the front leg. Turn the navel to the side of the room. Turn the chest to the side of the room. Reach your arms apart. Kick up through your back heel. See, can you steady the breath? So the breath is just broadening the diaphragm. Take your gaze up if you're steady. Good. Feel free when you're ready to come down to look down first for a kind of stabilizing factor. Lower the upper arm, bend the standing leg, touch close down. Good. And then come all the way up. Release down with your arms. Turn your toes forward. Lovely. And this is a really nice one to do at the wall, hands on the wall or hands on the floor. We're going to take a forward fold, Prasarita Padottanasana. And we're going to move the hands to the right side and bend the left knee, turning the left foot out a little bit. So have a bit of a stretch all down that side body. Good. Left foot forward, arms walk to the right. You might want to turn your right foot out a little bit and bend into that right knee. And get a good stretch all down the side. Good, let your hands come back through to the center. Hop back a little bit, or step back a little bit. Bring your knees in and bring your feet more close together. Good, round the spine, hips towards heels. Take a dive through. Rounding hips towards heels. Good, come back through for table. Kick up through that right heel. So you're staying with this kind of 90-degree angle between your calf and your thigh. Pulsing up, just as we did earlier. Pulsing open. Angle your knee out and your ankle in. And reverse direction. External and internal rotation at the hips. And then kick that leg long. Really nice. Rock forward and back. Grab blankets if you want to under your knees. Feeling that length along the thigh. Really nice. And then coming up with your hands. And we're coming into gate pose, just as we did earlier. So you're going to reach over that long leg up. And then this time let this arm reach all the way over towards your ear. If that feels okay for you. Good, come back through to the center position. And then lift up with that leg and have a moment where you balance like a star. And then bring your leg in. And we'll come to some kind of a camel pose. We prepped this right at the beginning, but you might want to stay fairly high. So it's not too much of a back bend, because we've not done lots of back bends, but you'll feel that that hip flexor area might feel quite open. Push your shoulder blades up onto the rib cage to open the chest. Fire up your glutes to open the hip flexor area. Yeah, fantastic. Come back through to your table. Hands under shoulders. Good, and then pick up with that left leg pulsing up. And open. And knee out and knee in. Kind of carving your way around that hip joint, trying to really feel into the hip joint as you move. Kick the leg open. Good, and then coming up and over. Turn the foot out. Reach the arm for gate pose, Parigasana in Sanskrit, and then that right arm can reach up and over. Notice how the breath takes the shape of the pose. We don't need to necessarily manage the breath, but more see how the breath is shaped from the shape of the body. In that way, perhaps we can bring some ease to the breath. Yeah, fantastic. Come up from there. Lean, lean, lean. Let your leg get lighter. And kneel back. If you fall, it doesn't matter. Just have a play. Good. So whatever version of camel you want on this side, you could stay just sitting back. Lift the chest, might feel enough. or hands to the bolster or onto the heels. It's quite active in the back of the body because your glutes are going to open up this area for you. And then your shoulder blades are going to be like a shelf for your chest to sit on so that your chest really opens. You can have your gaze more forward or more up. Some people are comfy to drop the head, but you just want to check that it feels super comfy in the neck. If your heels are there, feel free to go to the heels. Just really see what it is that your body needs. And then when you come up this time, we are going to put the hands down. Great, so we'll come through to sitting. So you might just want to cross the ankles or anything that works for you to come around. And let's take some height so you can be comfortable, have some space for the abdomen, have some space for your hips. Taking some cushions or bricks can work as well. Feel free to come straight to lying if you prefer. Good, and let your legs get really comfy. If you need any more padding, a blanket between the ankle and the shin can work super well. Something like this. So it just feels like the weight of the legs can drop more easily. Good. Sit bones rooting towards the earth. Not needing to be rigid in the spine, but just feeling that the shoulders are somewhere over the pelvis. Almost like the body can be held more comfortably from beneath. And then let your eyelids soften over the eyes, whether the eyes close or whether the gaze is lowered. And we're just going to pause to be with ourselves for a moment. Often this whole concept of meditation can feel a bit strict and rigid, but we're going to imagine more like we're just hanging out with a friend and seeing what it is that our friend wants to tell us today. What's coming, what's going, what thoughts are there. And just in that way of befriending, what feeling or what thought or what support would we like to offer ourselves as our own friend in this moment. And let yourself see if there's any particular thought of support or kindness that might feel possible. Don't worry if it feels really tricky. Useful just to see what's present. Letting the breath become a little bit more subtle, a little bit softer. And then you may like to stay and sit or lie for a little bit longer, feeling softness in the jaw and the tongue and the eyes. Feeling appreciative for your efforts this day to be with yourself and move your body for a moment. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.